What's going on, everyone? Is the Durf, and in today's video I'm busting out Stormdancer's Brace and pairing it with my Prismatic Warlock. This build is incredibly simple to use. What you see is what you get. So if you've been looking for a point and click Prismatic Warlock arc build that centers around pretty much however you actually want to play, because it doesn't matter as long as you feel comfortable, this is the build for you. This exotic armor has kind of been a little bit under the radar. I think it's better than what some people say it is, but it really depends on how you style it for what you need. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know how you guys are customizing it for your own style of play. I look forward to reading all of those. Hopefully you guys like the video. Let's get it going. Our super for this build, of course, is going to have to be Stormtrance. Chain arc lightning from your hands to electrified targets with devastating streams of arc light that intensify over time. Casting Stormtrance creates a jolting shockwave underneath you. Now remember, paired with our featured exotic, we are going to get increased damage with each hit and kill that we do with our Stormtrance. So make sure you're watching those numbers go up when you're on bosses and also when you're going through a lot of adds and or majors. For abilities, I prefer the Phoenix Dive, Burst Glide. We are going to want Arcane Needle for its triple stack, and even though I'm not really going to be crutching on the grenade much, the Storm Grenade still puts out the most damage, and it has a chance to generate Ionic Traces. For aspects, we're going to be going with Lightning Surge. While sliding, activate your charge melee ability to blink forward, calling down lightning strikes that jolt targets as you rematerialize. This ability also makes you amplified and grants Bolt Charge. We are going to be discharging max stacks of Bolt Charge like crazy with this build. We're going to be generating Ionic Traces with this build, and we are also going to be able to spam our Transcendence, which, if you remember, when you have Transcendence, your melee energy refreshes in an insane amount of time, which allows you to continue to spam Lightning Surge. And the best thing about this build is we don't even have to do anything special to get our super back quicker, so Lightning Surge is just going to add to the already high amount of damage we're going to be able to output with this build. Next up is going to be Feed the Void. Defeat a target with any ability to activate Devour. Your Devour effects are improve, restore additional health, and grenade energy. Final blows, restore health, grant grenade energy, and extend Devour. And remember, once we get to the artifact, we're going to get a couple of extra benefits from having Devour. For fragments, first up is Facet of Purpose. Picking up an orb of power is going to grant us Bolt Charge. We are going to have no shortages of orbs of power. So the fact that we're going to be able to get Bolt Charge constantly means we're going to be able to discharge it constantly as well. Next up is going to be Facet of Grace. Now this is a personal preference based on the weapons that I'm using. If you do not use the same weapons that I do, that's totally fine. You may want to substitute this for something else. Defeat targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendence energy. Defeating targets with your super grants you a nearby ally's bonus Transcendence energy. Next up is Facet of Awakening. Rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage or super final blows generates an elemental pickup of the matching damage type. Of course, this means for us Ionic Traces. And yes, if you watch the bar at the bottom, you'll be able to see the refresh of your melee ability as you're using your melee ability, and I'll get to that in a second. Next up is going to be Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. While Transcendent, the effect is Increase. This is necessary since we're going to be playing ultra aggressive with this build, and we're going to get a bump to our melee as well. Lastly, Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. And yes, this definitely means our Lightning Surge. If you do watch the bar like I was talking about earlier of your refresh rate for your melee, once you get kills with your Lightning Surge, you're going to see that bar in the lower left-hand corner of your screen start to creep up a little bit faster than normal. For stat distribution, I recommend focusing on super, melee, and weapons in that order. Weapons doesn't really even have to be above 100. That's just kind of where I have it. Super doesn't have to be as low as 122. That's just kind of where I have it. And melee, again, doesn't have to be as low as, where I've got it at 119. The way that my armor shaked out or shook out was I got a lot of extra energy back to my grenade. I would prefer to have that closer to like a 60 maybe, because it's really not something that I crutch on anyways, and the leftover stats to be dumped into melee, or in this case, more than likely, super. For weapons, first up is the Praxic Blade. Now, you do not have to use the Praxic Blade for this. There's a ton of other options that you can use. If you want kinetic weapon damage, pick your favorite kinetic weapon. I don't care if it's Giver's Blessing or something else or a different exotic, whichever you prefer is totally fine. However, the way that this is set up right now, we can stun all 3 champs. The key here is being able to generate huge amounts of damage because it's going to refresh your super as fast as possible. So whether that's with the Praxic Blade here, with Hyper Blade, and getting yourself stacks of bolt charge, or it's something like Giver's Blessing, or you want to switch out of it entirely and throw on something like Mint Retrograde. All of these options are going to give you your super back quicker because, of course, what you need is to be able to put damage out in an efficient fashion. For the energy weapon, this is where you may want to have some fun. I have Psi Eterna. However, I have run this build with Trinity Ghoul. I have a measly 27,000 kills with this bow. I guess I kind of like it. You could also roll this with King Orfeo. Jolting feedback and explosive head is excellent for this style of play. Of course, you could go with Horror's Least. There's no shortage. You could go with Centrifuge. Whatever your favorite arc weapon is, that's what I would put here if you don't want to run the Praxic Blade. If you're bored of the Praxic Blade, your main weapon of choice should be an arc weapon. In the heavy slot, depending on how your champ situation is, you could go with something like Submersion for the Unstoppables and Chill Clip. You could go with the refurbished A499 for the Barrier Pierce. Or you could go completely off the grid and put on like Unwavering Duty if you know you're going to have extended DPS sessions. Thinking of like encounters like the boss for like Devil's Lair, right? You don't necessarily want to be attacking with the Praxic Blade because it's an aerial boss and you're just going to look foolish doing it. So you put on Unwavering Duty, auto-loading holster. You can put on something that's got bait and switch. As long as it can hit the aerial boss, it doesn't really matter. But again, if you're going to be going into activities with champs, you're going to have to, and again, I understand that your abilities are going to kind of circumvent the need for all these different weapon combinations to have all champs factored in, but I'm thinking like ultimate level difficulty or even Grandmaster, your abilities may not quite be enough, even if they are enough on paper. So just kind of use your best judgment. Stormdancer's Brace is an exotic that I've messed around with a little bit this season. For my own personal preference, I do like Crown of Tempest better, and I also like Geometric Stabilizers better, but Stormdancer's Brace is definitely no joke. In preliminary damage testing, before I even kind of took this into the field of play, the average damage that I was able to put out with no bonus to my super or anything when I put it on versus when I had it off was anywhere from 200 to 300% more damage for an entire super. Well, that's pretty significant when you factor in the fact that you are able to get bolt charge with simply just ability damage. So that's, here we go. So ascending amplitude, storm trance hits and final blows increase the damage it deals. Refunds super energy when it ends. Ability damage while amplified grants bolt charge. So the reason why we want to use our lightning surge as much as possible is we are going to be getting ridiculous amounts of bolt charge on top of what we already do. This is a stark contrast from Crown of Tempest, what we get from that, and of course Geometric Stabilizers, what we get from that. This also works, in my opinion, better on a prismatic class, but you guys can let me know in the comments if you want me to do the OG Arc version of this build, because there is definitely one, and actually, to be quite honest, there's probably two specific builds that you can mod around this if you really want to break it down. But the key here is that ability damage while amplified grants bolt charge. So every lightning surge that you do, every arcane needle that you throw, if you are amplified, you get bolt charge just by doing damage. So think about that in the grand scheme of things. When you're dealing with large groups of enemies, for example, or you're dealing with a boss room that's got a bunch of ads, but you're still trying to get the boss, you're going to be maxing out and discharging bolt charge at a ridiculous rate. That's not even counting the fact a facet of purpose factoring in to give you additional stacks of bolt charge just for doing your job and picking up your orbs of power. Literally doing nothing but attacking. And that's why this build is so strong, is it hinges on literally you doing nothing except what your character is designed to do. You don't have to be fancy about it. You don't have to be creative about it. What you see with the standard prismatic build as it is absolutely what you get. As far as the rest of the armor goes, go ahead and spec into whatever general armor mod that you need. For the helmet, you can throw on the dual siphon for the kinetic and arc if you want. To be honest, I don't really feel much of a difference from the hands-on mod being on as far as super regen, but the little bit that it does count towards it, I mean, I've got it. And then, of course, I got a special ammo finder because in this instance, I'm running a double special build. But if you were to switch out of that and have a primary ammo at any point, let's just say you want to run with Trinity, because who doesn't like using Trinity for literally anything that they possibly can, you could throw this, put the heavy ammo finder on, and then you could spam whatever your heavy ammo is weapon more. For the gauntlets, make sure you throw on triple heavy-handed because, again, we're going to be doing lightning surge so much. For the chest armor, make sure you put on 3 elemental resistance mods. For the leg armor, make sure you put on better already. It is better than recuperation. Don't let anyone else tell you differently. And I run double absolution, but you could absolutely run the melee mod or something else in this, but double absolution just makes more sense on a prismatic build than it does anything else. And then for the class item, make sure you throw on your class font. Remember, picking up 1 orb of power gives you a plus 20. So with my measly class stat at 10, I automatically bump it up to the minimum requirement of 30 with an orb pickup, and that should not be hard to keep maxed at all times. Throw on your Reaper. So when you use your Phoenix Dive, of course, you get your free orb of power with your weapon final blow next. And then, of course, put on Outreach. That is kind of a no-brainer, but I'm saying it anyways. For the armor set bonus, make sure you put on Tech Sec or something that pairs with the type of weapons that you are running. You could also put on the sword armor. I know I said sword armor. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like a blueberry here. I'm forgetting the technical term of the set bonus, but you guys will know it. The sword armor or the sage armor. Either one of those will work if you're using, Praxic Blade. But Tech Sec still the most coveted armor, in my opinion, in the game, and also one of the hardest to get. If you haven't seen my video on that, make sure you check out how you can farm for it every week, at least getting a chance to have it. For the artifact, make sure you put on whatever weapon mod that you need. In the second column, make sure you put on Elemental Siphon so that you get your elemental pickups. Put on Impact Shock of Gravity if you are going to use the Duo Siphon. Otherwise, you could use the Gravitic Voltaic Charge, so you get the extra armor charge, for your class font, but that's, it's totally up to you. Or you could put on Expert Handling if you're not using the Praxic Blade. In the third column, put on Kinetic Synthesis. Make sure you throw on Power from Pain, because in the fourth column, the Singularity Blade, when you have a Void Elemental buff, which means Devour, melee and sword hits weaken targets, while melee and sword final blows create a weakening burst. So yes, you will be able to take advantage of void damage with this build as well, even though you are not wielding a single void weapon. Throw on combination Argent Blade, briefly pause after executing a light attack, then follow it up with a light or heavy attack to empower your sword for a short time, granting it bonus damage or charge rate. No brainer here, put on Dielectric, and in the fifth column, put on Sword Storm Combo. I don't really know if there's ever going to be a situation where we take this off. And Void Infestation, defeating a weakened target spawns a tracking projectile that weakens other targets. So even with an arc-centric build, you're still going to have plenty of Void elements to help you out here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know there's a number of different schools of thought of how to build your Prismatic Warlock around this exotic armor, but the way that I have it is probably the most universally easy to use. What you see is what you get. You don't have to literally do anything that's super fancy. You can play from a distance if you want to, if you don't want to use the Praxic Blade. You can mod this with whatever kind of weapons that you want, and there's still a couple of other different options you can put as far as like your fragments and stuff, depending on if you're running kinetic weapons or you want to switch up which weapons deal with the champs. But let me know in the comments what you guys think, what's working for you while using this exotic armor. Also, let me know if you want me to do an OG version of this build. OG arc is what I meant to say. To be perfectly honest, there's probably two different ways. Actually, matter of fact, I can tell you 100%, there are definitely two different ways to build this on an actual arc class because of the different fragments and aspects that you compare with it. So let me know if you guys want me to go through those two. I may still do that anyways, but let me know, because I've got other builds that I was thinking about doing, and then this one kind of just crept up and I ended up really liking it, so I just figured I'd put it out. If you guys did find anything helpful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing if you know a Guardian out there who is looking for a good Prismatic Arc build that centers around our exotic armor Stormdancer's Brace. Make sure you share this video with them or send them my way. My goal always is to help as many people as possible. As always, I will have a dim link in the video description, and if by chance you guys are looking for that non-toxic gaming community, make sure you hop into my Discord. Despite recent Bungie news, I can definitely say my Discord has still been active. I still see people on all the time. In fact, my Discord it has some of the most active people probably in the game on it, because I always see somebody on. I always see people paired up. I actually see people teamed up in groups of 3 pretty often, to be quite honest. So shout out to my Discord. Kudos to you guys for making it so welcoming and still helping each other out, because that's what a great community does. So I'm going to switch over to some additional gameplay, and then we'll wrap it up. So before anybody gets in the comments and says, Durf, you're not running the ultimate level difficulty, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. I'm not. Quick play activities now give you T5 drops. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. So if you've been trying to farm for different armor rolls like I have, and you've been switching things up on your Ghost mod, this is the time to do it. With the added time between now and June, where the next major expansion update, whatever you want to call it, is going to happen, I'm taking this time to go through the different builds that I've run with you guys and actually maximizing the stats that I've been telling you guys to maximize, and then putting those back into the builds, and I'm going to try to get through some of those as they become available. Again, with the added time, I know there's a lot of fatigue going on, and I just want to say, I completely understand it. I feel it too, but I'm hoping some of the ways that I'm able to keep things fresh for you guys is going back through some of the builds that I have and tweaking them, as well as upping the armor stats that I've told you guys to spec into, so you guys can kind of see in different activities how it works. So let me know if there's any specific builds you'd like me to go back through and also maximize the armor stats for, so you can kind of see what the differences are, whether they're minor or even major. But anyways, Stormdancer's Brace absolutely does slap in ultimate level activities. Of course, any build that you modify right will keep up with that. However, Stormdancers is incredibly useful as long as you're not dealing with an aerial boss. So while you're going through some of the different builds and you're going through different activities during the proverbial grind between now and June, keep that in mind. Ignore the armor set bonus and start focusing on the armor stats themselves and see just how much it changes. So let me know if you guys want me to get through specific builds again with the changes in armor, and I will be happy to revisit those builds. So hopefully you guys like the video. I will see you guys next time. Take care.